Most men don't get rejected because they're unattractive. They get rejected because they approach the moment the wrong way. They push, instead of connecting. But the right questions don't create pressure. They create pull. They create tension. They create attraction. And when it's done right, she doesn't lean away. She leans in. Let me start with something real. Most men don't actually fear intimacy. They fear rejection. They fear that exact moment when they make a move and everything shifts. She pulls back. She goes cold. She says something that kills the entire vibe. But what if that moment didn't have to exist? What if you could move toward intimacy without sounding desperate, without creating pressure, and without triggering rejection? Not manipulation, not force, just understanding how she emotionally decides when she's ready, and who she wants to be ready with. That's what this is about. Here's something almost no one tells you. Women don't reject intimacy. They reject how it feels. If the emotional experience feels off, the answer is no. If it feels right, the answer happens naturally. That's the shift. And once you understand that, everything changes. Most men make the same mistakes. They ask too directly. They ask too early. They ask with nervous energy. Or they ask without building anything first. And here's the truth. Women don't decide intimacy logically. They decide emotionally. The moment she feels safe, understood, desired, but not pressured, aligned, that's when the door opens. So instead of pushing, you create the conditions where her desire builds on its own. Because for her, attraction isn't instant. It's layered. It builds through moments, through emotion, through context, through anticipation. That's why she can feel nothing at first. And weeks later feel everything. Not games, not confusion, just emotional buildup. And once you understand that, you stop rushing, you stop forcing, you start creating. Here's the first shift. You don't ask directly, you invite. There's a difference. A direct ask creates pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Resistance turns into rejection. But an emotional invitation feels natural, feels mutual, feels like her decision. And when it feels like her decision, she doesn't reject it. Think about it. The moment someone pressures you into something, you pull back, even if you were interested. Same thing here. A direct question makes it a transaction. Now she's thinking, weighing, analyzing. Doubt enters. But when you create a feeling instead of a question, you bypass all of that. You let the moment lead. And feelings don't get rejected the same way questions do. So what do you actually create? 3 things. Safety, trust, anticipation. If even one is missing, she hesitates. Safety means she doesn't feel judged. She doesn't feel rushed. She doesn't feel like she'll regret it. And that comes from your energy. Calm, grounded, unreactive. Trust builds when your words match your behavior. You say you're not rushing. And you don't rush. You respect her boundaries, without making her feel bad for them. That's where real connection starts. And then there's anticipation. That's the spark. That's the tension. That's what makes it feel alive instead of mechanical. And anticipation comes from restraint, from suggestion, from what's felt, but not said. Now here's where it gets interesting. Instead of leaning in, you lean back, slightly, not cold, not distant, just enough. And suddenly, the pressure disappears. And in that space, she starts to feel her own desire. She starts wondering. She starts leaning in. Now it's her movement, her curiosity, her energy. And that changes everything. Because now it's not you chasing. It's both of you meeting. Then there's another shift. You don't ask for intimacy. You plant the feeling. You say things like, I like how this feels. You're easy to be around. There's something calm about you. You're not asking for anything. But you're guiding attention to the feeling that's already there. And when she recognizes that feeling, she aligns with it. That's where connection deepens. You're not introducing something new. You're giving language to what she's already experiencing. And that creates alignment. And alignment creates attraction. Now here's what most men miss. She needs to feel safe in her emotions. Soft, open, relaxed. That doesn't happen if you're tense, or pushing, or trying too hard. It happens when you're calm, present, unbothered by outcome. That kind of energy makes her relax. And when she relaxes, she opens. And when she opens, Everything becomes natural, not forced, not pressured, just natural. Now here's the critical moment. Instead of asking for a yes, you ask about her feeling. Does this feel too fast? Do you feel comfortable right now? Now she's not deciding about you. She's checking in with herself. And that's easier. That feels safe. And if she hesitates, you don't lose. You gain clarity. And when you respond calmly, you actually build more trust, which often brings her closer anyway. Then comes alignment. You mirror her, not more, not less. If she leans in, you lean in. If she softens, you soften. If she creates connection, you match it. That creates a rhythm, a flow, a shared experience. And in that flow, intimacy builds naturally. No forcing, no asking, just progression. And finally, you don't ask for the moment. You acknowledge it. This feels really nice. It's crazy how natural this feels. You're not requesting anything. You're highlighting what already exists. And when you do that, the moment itself becomes the invitation. Not you, the moment. And that's the shift. Because people follow feelings, not requests. And when the feeling is right, the answer happens on its own. That's how you remove pressure. That's how you remove awkwardness. That's how you remove rejection. And that's how you create real connection.